Japan of all countries is a country of like microsystems. Everything affects everything, right? There's a reason why salaries, you don't really get promotions or raises because everything's very flat. There's a reason why competitors like McDonald's, Wendy's, Burger King all has the same price. That's part of the system, right? It's like they put in place a system of predictability and stability. In Canada, you can go from like, dollar store to like luxury store to McDonald's, all different prices, right? You're not gonna have that in Japan. Everything's stable, everything's predictable. You go for a job, there's no going from like 10K to 20K in Japan.
There's no like 100 to 250K job.
Yeah, in Japan you go from 10K to 10.5. It's very stable because it also creates, stability among the population. People won't get wild. Whereas here, you're going from like Toronto to Montreal. It's completely different prices.
Big cap.
In Japan, you go from Tokyo to Osaka, anywhere else, same prices. It's flat across the board, right?
Yeah. So
is that intentional by government?
It is intentional by design. Literally,
it's almost a nanny state, bro.
Yeah.
But so like in the video the guy was talking about, I was looking at this. I'm like, okay, well if your rent is not supposed to be more than like maybe like a quarter. Like it's like your rent, your housing is not supposed to cost more than like a quarter of your pay.
Yeah,
so
that's 40%.
Yeah,
that's what it's supposed to like fully tap out. 40% is egregious. Like,
well, I think it depends on
Japan.
Depends on
But I guess for like in Canada. So when I saw this in Japan, I'm like, okay, so your rent's only like you guys are like your rent is like I don't know, like maybe a third of what it is in Canada, but like you guys get like. Your wages are lower, but like you don't need to make as much. And they also have things like free healthcare and in Japan, I'm sure in Japan the job stability is something. It's probably like better than France. It's probably like. It's probably in Japan. They don't fire you. They just stick you in the basement for 15 years. You know about that?
Of course, yeah.
There's documentaries about it. It's crazy. Because they can't fire you. They put you in the basement for 15 years. Make you like the
unions are very strong.
Yeah.
And then just knowing that, like, even if you don't like your job, you can stay there for 10 years and have stable pay. You could have 20K for the next 10 years. You can work your entire.
I have no idea.
You can work your entire life around that because it's also monthly payment. It's not bi-weekly, right?
Oh,
and so
okay.
it's prepaid. So you start the month, and you get your payment for the month.
Oh, interesting.
So it's not in arrears where you do your work.
Right, yeah.
And you get paid at the end. You know up ahead, okay, the first of the month, you're going to get 20,000 yen. Okay, well, I can budget literally day by day for the next 4 weeks.
I see, yeah.
And that's why it's a culture of, they promote this whole stability, like, and the way the country is harmonious. It's like, any sudden change, any disruption to your life, that not only disrupts you, that disrupts the whole culture. Right?
Did you tell me there's some price law in Japan where you can't like outbid, you can't like underprice your competitors by more than like 3%?
Yeah. So right now
which is great. And Americans are totally against it.
Americans are super capitalist.
Now you know, dropping oil prices. The price of gasoline came down so heavy. It's why we just undercut them and set we embargo these guys at this level and drop the price. I'm like, in Japan, never let you do that, bro.
But that's actually interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so
because the more I think about it, because a lot of mainstream economic theory, I don't agree with this, but this is just what a lot of mainstream economic theories is, that typically you'll have a more efficient market when it's a free market.
Yeah.
But Japan's an interesting counterexample because you have incredible innovation.
Which makes sense because like the law says something.
I didn't know that. I should have studied this.
Yeah, so the law says something like all competitors in a specific industry, so like automotive, price points can't vary by more than 2-3%.
I had no idea.
So if a car
that's really interesting. Yeah.
is being produced for $10,000, the market rate for that car is 22.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
It can't be any more than that. It can't be more than 25, 30. Because why would it? Because literally, if you actually think about it from top to bottom, well, the workers are paid well. If they're all in the same type of industry, there should be market competitive rates, right? And so if they're all in a car industry and you all make whatever 15K as salaried workers, why would the actual car be more? Like, it wouldn't make sense. Like, you all use the same materials, you're all in the same factory, the same community in Japan. There's no reason for the price to actually be more. The only reason why it would be more is it would be greed. Greed disrupts the whole country, right? So it's not harmonious.
Does this push out a bunch of like overly ambitious people then? Like they have to leave the country?
But no. That's
the
interesting thing about Japan. Japan still has incredible innovation.
Yeah.
Like along many lines, like scientific, technological, even entertainment. You know what the youngest billionaire is today? I think he's only like 24 years old.
That's crazy.
He's a Japanese dude.
Japanese guy.
He's a Japanese dude who's making like Japanese YouTube kind of equivalent. Social media. Yo, isn't that crazy? So there's still tons of business and shit happening.
Instead of there being entrepreneurship,
it's crazy.
It's intrapreneurship.
Yeah.
There's internal teams that are devoted, literally like. It's funny because I'm in the research and design space, and when I hear about a team here that say, they have like an internal, research process or like internal user testing process, I'm like, no, man. Japan actually has internal research teams that will here we have engineers, marketers, and maybe a couple of executive suites, right? In Japan, it's like the CEO and then a team of researchers because it's all entrepreneurship. It's like how can we improve the product internally before we go out, and there's enough autonomy for the team to actually go and build and improve on things. This is why companies like Nintendo have been around for literally 150 years, right?
Yeah.
There's that culture of entrepreneurship. It's we're treating you as a family. We want to promote these values of
There's a double-edged sword in that, because the loyalty. But I hear what you're
the
saying.
loyalty,
But
but
when
also-
it works extremely well.
Yeah.
It works so well.
But on the other hand,
Yeah,
it's the bad part is well, that means there's monopolies. That means there's not enough entrepreneurship. That means small businesses are not actually being started, right? Because it's well, it starts from the top. It's well, why would you go out and start a business in Japan when you could actually just go and have a stable company life in a company, right? So it is double-sided where they're fuck, we don't want entrepreneurs, and our best entrepreneurs are actually leaving, right? The best companies coming out of Japan right now are Uniqlo, right?
Yeah. So I feel is there a lot of demand for fantasies, or do you feel because everything is so predictable that there's almost almost like the opposite, the taboo thing would be
So
There's definitely demand for fantasy in Japan. There's definitely demand. Have you seen their porn? Have you seen hentai? You've seen octopus
I'm
porn,
so
bro?
happy you brought that up. That's exactly why I was thinking about
They're
that.
very creative out there.
I've never